Wonderful. Thank you so much for getting us started and for laying out the rest of the year, in fact, about what we'll be talking about each month. We're super excited to start with one of the biggest priorities on our plate as a part of the Bowser administration, which is really addressing the digital divide. And I'm thrilled to introduce you to our lead for our work on the mayor's initiative, Tech Together DC, to do just that, address that digital divide, given the fact that COVID just served to amplify the need to do so even faster than I think we had the urgency to do so before. And so let's not lose that momentum. And so I'm not going to do a lot of the talking today. I think I'll catch up at the end, but I do want to introduce Sarah. And Sarah, I'll let you kind of introduce yourself to the group, but Sarah has graciously agreed to work with us to lead up this initiative. And I'm thrilled she's come in and really hit the ground running, learned a lot about what's going on across the country and across the globe when it comes to the digital divide, and is helping us think through how we are going to stand up our initiative and move it forward so that we can utilize some of these federal dollars that are coming our way today, but really think about a sustainable model that's going to work for the future. So without further ado, Sarah, thanks.
Thank you, Lindsay. It's wonderful to be here with you all today. Nina, can we go to the first slide? Wonderful, thank you. So we are excited to introduce Tech Together DC to many of you on the call. This afternoon's discussion is bringing together our Industry Day partners as well as our Tech Together Pledge partners. And we wanted to take a few minutes to share with you all, this broader community, some more information about Tech Together and the efforts that we have planned for the next 3 months of Q4 of our fiscal year prior to FY 2022, where we will be really bringing a lot of resources and new initiatives to the city. So Tech Together DC is a values-led partnership to promote the ways for government and partners to work together to close the digital divide. And what's really unique about our initiative is that we are intentionally connecting our interagency partners across the government, and you'll see that in our working group model, with our industry partners, our nonprofit partners, and our academic partners. And so we are really taking a citywide ecosystem and finding ways to work together to create more services and opportunities for our residents. And our initiative is structured around 4 action areas, which are increase access to internet services, increase access to devices and support, demystifying tech through awareness, training, and opportunities, as well as increasing the tech savviness within DC government. And we're going to speak a little bit more about those action areas and some working group sessions that we're standing up over the next 3 months. Next slide. Thank you, Nina. So we have working groups that we are looking to convene to really engage with our city partners, residents, CBO, community-based organizations and NGO communities, as well as our government leaders, to think through these challenges that we face and how we can bring the best models and the best support to our residents to close the digital divide. So over the next 3 months, Lindsay and I will be working with Director Newland, Director Reyes-Gavlin, and Director Gibson to think about the efforts that the city needs to invest in to move the needle, right, on the challenges that we're facing for internet access for residents, devices and tech support, training needs, as well as some internal work we want to do and support the city in with our government workforce to really think about how we're delivering government service and how we can use technology to meet the needs of residents as a government. And so over the next 3 months, these working groups will be working with our agency partner leaders to set up a series of sessions that are listed on the slide within each action area to really have opportunities to engage across the city, to hear from everyone's perspectives, and to understand where we are so that we will be able to really effectively measure and have evidence of the performance of the investments that we're planning for FY 2022. Next slide.
Well, and
oh, please, Lindsay, go ahead.
Yeah, just to layer on, sorry, Nina, the heads of those different working groups or the different focus areas, we were, I would say, strategic about asking our government partners to do that up front. So Laura Newland, my counterpart at the Department of Aging and Community Living, she stood up a program during COVID to get iPads to seniors to sort of make sure that they had the ability to access services, stay connected, right? Not suffer from some of the social isolation that we know that a lot of seniors were impacted by during COVID, and also make use of telehealth opportunities. And so she's really helping us kind of make sure that we're getting this area structured in a way that makes sense for going forward. What I'm hoping is that these government leaders, right, same thing with Rich over at the DC Public Libraries, really focused on how we're thinking through the next generation of libraries. And how the fact that sort of tech awareness, tech training, tech opportunities could be housed, right? That could be one of those resources that you find at libraries going forward. And how do we do that in a more thoughtful way? And then, of course, with Director Gibson, who is the head of DC Human Resources, helping us really think about, if we do all this right, how do we get it? How do we make sure that we're moving DC government along when it comes to tech savviness as well? And so we've asked them to chair these focus areas for now. But my hope is that in reality, the government starts this and we come up with such an awesome, sustainable model that we don't actually have to continue. And then we find our counterparts in the private sector to carry on that torch. So just want to put that out there as well.
Thank you, Lindsay. Yeah, that's an important element, to sort of clarify the value that our director partners are really bringing to the work that we're doing, as well as, like Lindsay mentioned, the focus over the course of these 3 months is to position us to best, execute a lot of our work in 2022. But a lot of this is also continuing to look forward on what that sustainable model looks like. And that's one of the reasons that we want our whole city's ecosystem of organizations at the table, because it's going to take sort of a blend of all of us working on these issues together in the future to continue to move this needle and to gain traction as we move forward. Thank you. So on the next slide, we have a list of our current pledge partners across the industry areas. And for those of you who are on the call and are not a pledge partner and want to talk about that, I'm available, so you can get in touch with me, sarah.procaccini@dc.gov. I've engaged with all of these stakeholders as I've been onboarding to the initiative. And it really is, in addition to the work that we're going to share with you today, that our priorities around Mayor Bowser's investments, what we're really seeing already is the way that this initiative is connecting organizations across the program for them to figure out ways that they can work together independently on these issues to continue to serve our residents and support residents and their needs. There's a great deal of discussion, not just around devices and access, but in areas like telehealth and workforce development, that a lot of our partners are thinking about new models and how we support residents with those needs. And so it's not just about the device, it's also about what the device can do and helping to make connectivity and this platform, really relevant to residents, as they move forward through recovery and into building back better. So we can go to the next slide. And so I'm going to hand it over to Lindsay, who will share with you a little bit more about the mayor's priorities.
Yeah, definitely. We were super excited. So thanks for that, Sarah. Super excited to see Mayor Bowser's budget a few weeks ago. I know I've talked to you all about it a little bit, but wanted to make sure that we were breaking down the investments that that the mayor made in her FY22 budget. That so far, they're going through the council process, and so far still so good. So if you kind of bear with me, I'll walk through the different investments. We know that there's almost $30 million in the mayor's budget to really address the digital divide, and that's just new money. And we know that there's money throughout our agency partners to do this as well. So we're going to continue to work throughout the government, but also want to make sure that we're pulling in the resources that all of you and others can bring to the table. And so when it comes to the increasing access to internet services, we are still working with the mayor's budget team to be ready as soon as Treasury comes out with how they're going to be allowing the Capital Projects Fund, which is part of the ARPI bill, to be pulled down for not just the infrastructure that you drive on, but also the infrastructure that you connect on. And we are in the process of getting ready for that, though. We have expended some funding to date. We're going to pilot CBRS, a Citizen Broadband Radio Service solution, in the coming months. So before the end of the fiscal year, we'll be able to sort of see how that works and touch and feel and experience it and bring residents by to see what they think. We also are going to be contracting for a feasibility study to see what a citizen broadband radio service type model might look like in DC, challenges, opportunities, how especially we can think about the sustainability of such. And so those are funds already expended that we found this year to make some investments so that we're ready when Treasury can tell us how we can apply for these additional capital project funds to potentially look for to invest in a different infrastructure to deliver access services to residents in need. In the second area, in terms of increasing access to devices and support, there is a major influx of capital from the federal funds in the FY22 budget, approximately $24 million to really think through how we're going to get devices to seniors, returning citizens, children aging out of foster care, and our homeless and more transient neighbors. We are the reason why I'm telling you about all of this is because we are actively working, to Sarah's point in the 2 slides ago, we are actively working over the next 3 months to really crystallize how and make sure that we've got thoughtful engagement with a number of our community members to put together a device program that makes sense. 2 of the things that I'm most worried about is making sure that this initial injection of capital has some staying power. So how are we going to make sure that we've got a sustainable model going forward to support these devices going out to the community? And that's one of the big questions that we'll be posing in those work groups. We'll be working inside of government to make sure that we get this device program stood up so that we're ready to have a conversation and engage starting October 1. In terms of the third bucket, demystifying tech, and really, I think this is, as Sarah laid out, this is probably the most challenging focus area because it's going to be ongoing, and there's a lot to do here. We want to make sure that we're providing the relevance to those households that are now receiving access, that are now receiving the device to actually utilize the internet, right? What can you use it for? Why do you want to use it? And why do you want to improve your skills? Sort of when it comes to sort of digital literacy, what does that end up getting you? And so making sure that we've got a really thoughtful approach to doing this is what we're also going to be unpacking in the working groups going forward. The great thing about partnering with somebody like Rich at DC Public Libraries is he's also undertaking a strategic plan for the libraries. If you haven't stopped by to see the new MLK library downtown, well, I'm going to invite you to an event that we'll have there in September. So when we relaunch, sort of reopen the library after post-COVID, we're going to have a tech day. And so we'll make sure that you're all invited to that as well. But he's doing big things. He's thinking strategically. And so, making sure that the digital inclusion work that we're doing through Tech Together DC is baked in to that strategic plan is going to be a tremendous opportunity. In the short term, we know that we've got about 1.5 million in Mayor Bowser's FY22 budget to really start thinking about support and training for the residents that we're going to be able to get those devices to. We know that that's not enough, but we will. The truth is, I think this program only works if we have funding from multiple different sources. And so this is enough for the government to provide for FY22. And now we've got to make sure our partners are coming to the table as well. And then in the last area, this is something that's sort of near and dear to me because it allows the teams at Octo to really be successful. We need to make sure that if we are giving every household access to the internet, we're giving every household access to a device, and we're making sure that we're demystifying technology so people aren't afraid to access a government service online. Well, we got to get our government services straight here in DC government. And so in this area, the mayor has made a critical investment in creating a digital services team. And we're going to begin socializing the benefits of digital transformation with DC government as a whole. Some are already there, right? They're asking for it. They've been asking for it. If you've ever met Ernest Chopra at DCRA, you know that he's already demanding it. But there are some agencies that could still use some understanding, right? And are almost fearful of what digital transformation does to their jobs, to their communities. And so we want to make sure that we're taking that fear factor out and showing folks that what we're hoping to do is help them automate the things that are possible to automate so that we optimize service delivery in Washington, D.C. And that's what that $4 million starts getting us towards, which is terrific. I think that's, yes, and the big overall point that we want to make here is really we're going to focus on innovative solutions, but the idea being that we want to sustain all of the solutions that we're going to be pushing out and supporting through the Tech Together initiative beyond the government seed funding that Mayor Bowser has invested so thoughtfully in her FY22 budget. I think probably next slide. So Grace, I'll take questions sort of as they come in, but you're asking how we're going to baseline current state and needs. So that's some of the conversations that the working groups are going to start laying out. Sarah has done a very thoughtful job of looking around to see how people are doing that in other places, has also pointed out flaws in how people have done it in other places. We found that, not to diss our colleagues in other cities and states, but we're not sure if anybody's done it at a level that would satisfy Grace Hu. So we're working to do just that. And we've got some consultants onboarded to help us think through that. And we'll continue to work in those working groups to make sure that we're thinking about this. So one of the things that Sarah, pointed out, I think probably to a jurisdiction that didn't even think about it, is that they had an online survey to survey digital equity. Well, can't do that. Right, so there's just has to be other tactics in order to do that correctly. So good flag, Grace, and that's why those working groups are coming together to really think about how we're baselining and what we need to baseline. And so this actually transitions quite well into my next slide, and I don't have very much to say after this, but want to make sure that everybody understands we are showing the Unleash the Possible industry partners, as I call you, those of you that have signed up to be a part of our Unleash the Possible series, a little bit about our digital inclusion work, right? Our Tech Together, Mayor Bowser's Tech Together DC initiative. But I want to make sure everybody's super clear. There's multiple different ways to engage with Octo, and we appreciate all of you for your continuous engagement. But I do want to make sure that we're super clear that Tech Together DC partners are slightly different, right? I think of our Unleash the Possible partners as folks that potentially want to do work with DC government. The Tech Together DC partners, that could be you, but this is not the avenue to do that. And so really what the scope of the work is going to be is we're going to close the digital divide in DC. So if you're interested in coming to the table, working hard thinking through how we need to do that. That's who we're looking for as a Tech Together DC partner. You can be a part of the private sector, you can be a nonprofit, part of the academic world, and then we've also got a lot of government partners, both locally and regionally. The truth is there's going to be a big push over the next 3 months to get ready for October. And so we're going to have working group sections in each action area. For instance, 3 in action area 1, 2, 3, 4. There might be a few more in the device focus area. And then going forward, we'll slow down slightly because we'll be implementing. So it won't be as much work for working groups. But the truth is, to be a good Tech Together DC partner, we do want you to attend working group sessions. So it's not, we're not only looking for folks that are interested in lending their name to the initiative, but we want to make sure that you're at the table. We were looking for collaboration and inclusivity. So, no question is not allowed, right? Everybody's allowed to be there and participate. We want to make sure that we're sharing success and learning from failure, and we want to plan for the long term. So we're trying to think big so that we can do just that. We also want to make sure that all of our partners are committing to actionable steps that they're going to take to close the divide, whether that's participating and making sure that we've got training programs, whether that's coming to the table and coming up with better ways to survey. Those are sort of big things that we need help. And I think this only works if it's not just government that's participating. The things that we're not interested in from our Tech Together DC partners, this is not an opportunity to design a new product that you want us to buy. This is not a time to lobby for different policy changes that you're interested in us moving forward with. And it's not a time to market your own goods and services. This is a real time to kind of come to the table, work together, come up with a way to address the digital divide. Do you have to be an IT company to be an Unleash the Possible industry partner? No, not at all. And I think that is a great segue to the next slide, to tell you the truth. So, and I should just say, this is ways for industry to engage, right? It's sort of private sector was sort of always the intended audience for Unleash the Possible events, but wanted to sort of talk a little bit about the different things that are available out there. The Unleash the Possible event series is definitely not just for technology vendors or technology industry partners. We know that going forward, we're going to need help with a number of different things, including business process reengineering, including change management, training, citizen engagement. So a number of different avenues that will be necessary in order to make sure that digital transformation works is meaningful and sticks. No, everybody's welcome. I do say that this is like sort of a government technology series. So we are going to be focused on government technology. That's sort of the nature of the beast here, but there's room for many. And so if you're interested in coming to more of our events once a month, third Thursday at 3, right? So everybody can remember that, third Thursday at 3 p.m. You can visit octo.dc.gov and actually along our kind of scroll bar at the top, I don't know what it's called. You can help.
Yeah, it's the scroll bar.
Okay. Along the top, you'll see our Unleash the Possible event series. And in fact, what we've done is outlined the subject areas for the entire year. And so the next event topic is going to be on digital services and that work that Deputy Chief Technology Officer Stephen Miller is leading up. The other thing, so that's one thing. So that we're going to be talking about sort of specific areas of GovTech, and you can look through those and decide which ones you want to come to and decide which ones you want to participate in. And I actually want to make a point there because I asked Nina at the beginning of this. We're doing this session, this might be the last session that we do via just virtual. We're going to try to do sort of hybrid events going forward where we'll have folks in person and online. Now, some of you have ideas that you want me to hear about. And you want to come to Tech Together DC because that's where you think the best venue is. It's not. If you've got innovative ideas, you've got some proposals that you want us to look at, go ahead and visit smarter.dc.gov. It walks you through a series of questions that are pretty DC government focused. And so we want you to kind of make sure that whatever you're proposing, whatever that big idea is, that you're really thinking about how it relates and it translates to DC government. We want to make sure that you're thinking about us and you're not just sort of selling us a cookie cutter approach. And so that's another way to kind of make sure that we're seeing kind of what you're doing, how you're thinking. And as agencies ask us for help in thinking through solutions, we're able to then send them some of those ideas directly so that they can reach out and then have further conversations. Obviously, the priorities in those innovative ideas ought to touch on things that we're working on: bridging the digital divide, government technology modernization, and obviously always thinking about cyber. The other thing to think about is if you're looking for IT contracts, we've got 2 different ways that you can be alerted to them also on this page. So take a look at that. And then lastly, if you're interested in being a Tech Together DC partner, I think Sarah listed her email. Don't send her an email. Be a nice person. Just go ahead and visit techtogether.dc.gov, fill out the form. And that way she's got a team of people that will make sure that she's catching anybody that's interested in becoming a partner. She's really good at email. I'm not as good at email. And so what are we? There's some questions. Are we going to stratify? Oh, that's fair. Let me just quickly show you. These are the Unleash the Possible series for the next year. I talked about this a little bit last month, but just wanted to kind of I think we made a few changes. So digital inclusion, obviously this month. We're going to take August off from the series, really just to finish moving a data center. And then September, come back and Steve will kind of walk us through a great conversation about digital services and the transformation that he's helping lead DC government through. Cybersecurity, IT operations, you all can read, but these are the next series of events. If you're interested in working with us on that, there's also more information about how to do that on the website.
And just one quick, one quick note on that. As many of you signed up and RSVP'd, you filled out a small questionnaire that asked if you would be interested in hosting an Unleash the Possible event. So we will be following up with those who said yes, but if you missed that question and you are interested, please reach out to us. We are super excited to not make this solely an Octo thing.
That's right. In fact, we want to use this as a way to help you talk about what you're doing, talk about the partnerships that you've built within DC government with other jurisdictions, lessons learned, and we want to highlight that work. Lots of other questions. Will this presentation be emailed out afterwards? Yes, and it's always part of Nina. Nina's always going to try to say it at the top of the series. She's really good about being insistent about that. Yes, the presentation is going to be emailed out, or at least put online.
Yeah, we will do a follow-up email probably next week once we get the video propagated and up online, and then all the resources will also be in the past events series on the Unleash the Possible page as well.
Nice. And Melissa, your question is, can we add the Tech Together logo to our website to promote we are a partner? I love it. Nothing wrong with that. Happy to see it. If you put a link to the website, even better. Want to make sure that we're getting as many people involved in this as possible. Daryl, you have a really good question. Are we going to stratify vendors by cohorts to ensure alignment and expertise? I think what you're talking about is for Tech Together. Actually, I don't know. Maybe tell me more. Are we talking about Tech Together, or are you talking about Unleash the Possible events? And I'm sorry that it's not as interactive as just unmuting, but I'll find something else to talk about while you put that in there. Actually, I'll answer both questions. How about that? So In regards to Tech Together DC, yeah, people are going to be able to choose what working group they're going to be participating in. We want to make sure that it's relevant to you and what you're doing, and so that's fine. And then in regards to Unleash the Possible events, I'm looking for great partners to come, whether you have been a contractor with the government or not. I want to make sure that we're showcasing a number of different types of industry partners at each of the upcoming events. So maybe that's a way to answer the question in both ways that I was thinking about it. Great. And I've only taken 30 minutes.
There's one from Katie Littman in the Q&A. How do you envision looping in the mayor's new Office of Policy and Innovation, supported by the Bloomberg Philanthropies grant, into Goal 4 and the DC Digital Services team?
Yeah, it's a great question.
I promise I didn't plant that.
Sorry?
I promise I didn't call her and plant that.
I was gonna say, did you? I was like, sure, Nina. Katie said that. No, just kidding. So excited about that. Had the opportunity to join the mayor in New York 2 weeks ago as she accepted the Bloomberg grant or Bloomberg award, and so we're excited to get to work. One of the things that I've talked about since starting in this job is really making sure that Octo's priorities are aligned with the Wilson Building is super important. And the mayor's commitment to the digital services work is a great move in the right direction. What that does is it allows us to work on the things that are most critical to the city. And the first project of the digital services team will be a re-envisioned business portal for businesses that have to now today deal with 19 different agencies in order to accomplish what they need to. How do we change that on its head and create the TurboTax version for a business to interact with government? And that's the kind of project that it'll be very important to have a mayoral policy office at the table with us, making sure that we are working in the right direction to meet not only the mayor's vision, but the vision for that the rest of the city is interested in as well. So that's how we're going to be working with that team, that new innovation team in the mayor's office, and we're excited about it. The other thing to say there is historically, Octo has been in this position where we've had to go around and, much like our industry counterparts, sell to various agencies. And so we've spent half the year trying to make sure that we know who we're going to be doing work for. What this investment does is it really kind of helps us ensure that we're not scrambling for money to pay for our teams, but instead focused on the things that matter to the district as a whole. So the centralized funding for the digital services team is going to do just that, which I'm super excited about. Any other questions?
None that I see, but I do want to expand a little bit on Melissa's request for our logo. We'll send you kind of like a little package on like how to best use it, because as a partner, we also do want you to be our cheerleader. So when you do put our logo on your site, just making sure that when somebody asks you, what does that mean? You have the tools to do that.
Yeah. And when we say our, we don't mean necessarily ours, but all of ours, all Tech Together. Anyone else? I don't see any right now. Sarah or Nina, anything else that we've forgotten to talk about or touch on?
I don't think so, but I think, there is on the Octo website with Unleashed Possible series, we do have a survey on there that, we'd love to hear feedback if we're on the right track, if these are the right topics that you want to be hearing us talk about, or if you have other partners or people that you know in DC that would really add to the conversation. We're looking for that feedback on that survey. And I think the same goes for Tech Together. I know Sarah is constantly asking who should be a part of Tech Together, because we don't know everybody. So definitely send us that feedback too.
That's right. That's right. And a lot of times, especially on the Tech Together work, we know that there's some partners out there that are just, working really hard and maybe don't even know that we're trying to do this. And so we need everybody's help to make sure that you're letting your networks know because we want to make sure that we've got the most thoughtful and relevant partners at the table to do big things. Anything else?
I don't know. I think it's a pretty quiet group today.
There's a quiet group today. That's okay. Next time it'll be in person and it'll be tremendous. It'll be a celebration. We'll get to see everybody's faces. And actually that reminds me of like another kind of reason that we're doing these Unleash the Possible series, and that's really to make sure that we're helping you meet each other. So the business to business component of this is the most critical, in my opinion. I recognize that that's helpful not only for kind of doing business with Washington, D.C., where we're making sure that we've got some of the bigger industry partners at a same event with some of our small businesses, making sure that we're forging those connections is pivotal. I hope everybody understands that my opinion is a small business in DC has a much more thoughtful understanding of how we work and the things that are top of mind to our residents. And so making sure that we've got tremendous partnerships that help those small businesses grow their capacity, but really use their knowledge to produce even better products for us as a city. So I wanted to say that, and that's why we're so excited that the next event will be in person. So let's see, there's more people. Oh, great. There's some more, there's some recommendations for partners. Really, really appreciate that. We'll make sure that we capture those. Thank you, Shannon. Very great. And then just somebody that's saying how wonderful Sarah is. I totally agree. I totally agree. Now we're just trying to make sure like the Biden administration doesn't like steal her away. That's all. So join us, you know, make sure that she understands just how much we need her. And that's it. I think we can give people 20 minutes back of their life.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, just thank you. Okay.
Really appreciate it, everybody.
Thanks, everybody. We really appreciate it. Bye.